Do it.
Yes, correct.
Excellent. Excellent name. To talk just about smithing and graphing LLMs. It's a very positive sort of name. I think it's... Do it. Do it now.
Do it. I'm gonna do it.
Go ahead, Matthias. Thanks.
Thank you so much. Cool. You can see my slides. They're a bit off color, but I think that should do. So, good afternoon, everyone. Okay. Very excited to be here on stage, doing something that's dear to my heart, meeting community and talking about open source. Yeah, I hope everybody is well rested. Grab a coffee, still alive, day 3. It's quite a long conference, so let's dive in. The talk is quite light. I hope it's a bit like a digestible dessert for everyone. So let's have some fun. I want to talk a little bit about myself first. I'm Matthias. There's a picture of me. I'm from Belgium originally. I moved to Singapore. I'm working for Do It, but that's the boring stuff. What I want to talk about mostly today is a little bit about, I guess, what everybody is doing today, a journey into the Gen AI world. And it started very skeptical for myself. I was like, there's another buzzword, don't really want to get into it. But at the end of 2023, my manager kind of asked me, now is the time, you have to do it, no more choice. Look into it, what is it, what's going on? So up until that point, my exposure to the field and everything buzzwordy was quite limited. I didn't even play with ChatGPT. And actually the first thing that happened was one of my friends taking this picture on a trip. He's a brilliant photographer and he likes technology. So the first thing he did after with this picture was this. I don't know if you can see, but it's basically the same picture, but me as a knight. So obviously I was a bit skeptical. I was like, okay, this is what the Gen AI stuff is about. Maybe I'm actually not that interested. I tell my manager I do something else. But okay, we're 1 year later. I delve a bit deeper and found some spots that I actually like, and produced a few talks about it to share with you guys what I like about it and maybe could be useful for you as well. So yeah, that's the first thing I did. Is like, okay, I can do this as well, and it's really useful, right? Kidding. So you're probably wondering what this talk is about right now. But before we dive into the real stuff, one more story time. So in the summer of 2024, I went to Okinawa. Anyone from Japan here? No? No one from Japan? Okinawa is like the southern part of Japan, right? Beautiful, beautiful place. I can highly recommend going. So I'm really into scuba diving, and one thing that we're allowed to do as a company is spend some of our days to do volunteering for something we care about. And I care about scuba diving, I care about the marine environment, so I went to Okinawa and I tried to do some things that help the environment. And I've taken this picture there, which is me doing coral planting. But as you might know, traveling in Japan, I don't speak Japanese. I don't read Japanese. It's not that easy to find stuff on the internet. It's not that easy to browse websites. So it was a bit hard. So I was like, okay, maybe if somebody else ever wants to do something similar, let me make it a bit easier and combine it with something I've been willing to do for 10 years as well, is create a blog post and create my own website. So after 10 years, 2024, I finally did it. I expect applause for this at this point, but I created my website and the first blog post. And I was lucky enough to have a friend buy the domain name, basically myname.com. And he put up this first, like it's gone now, so we can be happy about that. But he found a picture of maybe 20 years ago of me and put some interesting stuff that is now gone. And I'm happy to say it looks now like this. And that's basically the topic of the talk, is this blog post and all the stuff that came from that. So if you would go to the website and you would look at the blog post, you would see a lot of stuff about marine life and the things that you could do regarding marine life in Okinawa. But you might notice that the captions become a bit repetitive towards the end, because I took some pictures, I wanted to describe them, and yeah, at some point, my mental bandwidth was like here, and I started doing just like OIST, which is the name of the university I went, projects and like OIST campus, and yeah, it was getting a bit not that descriptive. So that was about the same point I was doing some LLM stuff, and I decided, okay, let's see, take this problem and take this potential solution and mesh them together. So, topic of the talk, I think that's kind of what I covered in one. We'll look at how I solve my problem. Then we'll look under the hood, the technologies I used, and that maybe can be inspiring for some of your projects. Then some takeaways and maybe some time for questions. Yeah, we'll see about that. I think 25 minutes might be a quick one. Cool. So I was planning to do this from the presenter laptop, so I took mostly screenshots and videos instead of having live demos, but it should be pretty similar to the real thing. So this is what my website looks like. In VS Code, we have a source folder. It's based on 11t, and you can see the let me see if I can find my pointer. You can see the landing page, which is a template, and then the blog post template, and then the actual content is a markdown file, which is, yeah, you're all familiar with markdown, right? A little bit further, we have so the posts and then the pictures. So there's quite a few pictures in there. The images, and this is the one you should recognize. So that's the structure of the website, and that's what the version 1 was. And yeah, so how did I solve my problems? Basically, when I was doing my journey into GenAI, some of the resources I came across, one was Andrew Ng's talk on agentic systems and what was going to happen in the next year. I highly recommend this talk, and he kind of tried to predict what was next at the end of 2024. So that was first inspiration, and the second inspiration I also highly recommended was BEAR, which is the Berkeley Institute for AI, releasing a blog post which was closer to my heart because I'm an engineer, I'm not a deep learning researcher, talking about the shift from the power or the importance of a model, like whatever Google's and the AWS and now DeepSeek is training, and what we are, maybe it's kind of hard for us to do, to like building a system around it and making it useful. So a compound AI system, they call it. And some of the tools that I was interested in were mentioned there, like LangChain, LangGraph, and LangSmith. So that's what I decided to explore, and this is where we should see some action. Okay, this is a different kind of demo god situation because I'm just going to try and play a video. Yeah. Hey everyone, so we're here. Okay, I'm going to see if I think we... Okay, there's audio, but maybe I'll just talk over it. So we're here. I'm gonna come off stage and watch with you guys. So, yeah, this is the agent that I run with a simple Python script, and you saw the picture, and it's starting to write logs. So, yeah, first thing it's gonna do is summarize the blog post. So the blog post was about 30,000 characters, but that was too long for the model that I wanted to use because I'm running Gemma locally. So the first thing is a summarization using Gemini, which summarizes it to 1,700 characters and kind of describes what I wrote up in the blog post. That's the result there, and it took about 10 seconds. Then I use another model to first encode and then describe the image, which generated another 1,000 characters. So I don't know if you can see this. Image shows a hand holding a small piece of coral attached to the concrete block with a metal wire. There's a Belgian flag, so yeah, that's kind of that one. It's a bit off color, but And then it kind of also captures the context of in which I'm describing the picture. So it talks about the image perfectly illustrates a blog post focused on marine conservation efforts in Okinawa. And that description took about 10 seconds as well, 8 seconds. And from this, it started generating some caption proposals for that picture. So we have 5 caption proposals, which you can see there. Witnessing the birth of a coral reef, planting a seedling in Okinawa, a symbol of hope for marine conservation. Yeah, etc., etc. I don't know if you can. Yeah, everybody's quite close, so that's good. So this is where the feedback loop starts. Either we have some proposals, but you might not be happy with them, and I still wanted some control over it. And this is where I can either say, number 2 is going to be the caption that I want to use, or I give basically feedback to the LLM, like, do something else, this way or this way. We swear we can give it some feedback. So I think I asked for shorter, because, that's a long caption. And then I got planting Matthias, a small coral, a big step for Okinawa's reefs. Witnessing hope bloom, planting a coral seedling in Okinawa vibrant waters. They were not great in my opinion, so I think I did some more refinement. Yeah, make it more. I wanted something funny and asked for some smileys. So I came up with planting Matthias. This little coral might be small, but it's a big step for Okinawa's reef, which is not funny at all. Yeah, I think the first attempt at funny failed. And it kind of stuck very close to the initial captions it had. So I think I did another round more funny. This little coral might be named Matthias, but he's about to become a reef rock star. I mean, yeah, sure. I think the second one was the one I chose, yeah. Yeah, so the one I went with was planting coral seedlings in a serious business, but I'm pretty sure Matthias is judging my dance moves underwater. I mean, you can be happy about this. I don't know if you guys like it. Yes? No? Yeah, I was happy enough with it. So basically, I chose 2, it writes it to a file, and then it can integrate it into my blog post, and that's kind of end of demo. So, I hope you're now curious, like, how I put this together. Because that's what I'm going to talk about next. So, what's the tech, right? First component is LangGraph. Who's familiar with, I'm actually curious, who's familiar with LangChain, maybe, first one? So, okay, like 5 to 10 people. LangGraph? Similar people, smaller subset, okay, 5. And LangSmith? Only, okay. So LangSmith is the most unknown one. Okay, interesting. So starting with LangGraph, it's kind of the newer kid on the block within the ecosystem, and it allows you to define workflows. So think of it as, maybe people are more familiar with Airflow or Kafka or that kind of thing, like you have a DAG. You say, step 1, do this, step 2, do this, you can go left, you can go right, but you limit the actions it can take. And how you do it, you define a workflow, which is a state graph. You have some nodes and edges. Nodes define what you do, the edges define how you can go with it between the nodes. I'm not going to get into the graph theory. But these are basically the steps I defined in my program. So I summarized the block. You saw that. I described the image. You saw that too. I generate some captions. And then I have the human in the loop, which is, okay, thanks, is what happens there. And either we save the caption or we go into a feedback loop on the left side. Each step is using some kind of LLM. Summarize blog and generate captions, mostly because of the size of the context window, so the size of the input. I had to go with a commercial one or like a hosted one, so that's where I used Gemma, Gemini 1.5 Pro from Google. There's probably ways around it by now, but yeah, you need a big laptop, all of that stuff. So I took the easy way out there. But cooler stuff, the smaller stuff was happening with Gemma, which is open source. Gemma 2, to be specific, 9 billion parameters. So that's what I use for the generation of the captions. Yeah, and then I save the captions, write them to disk. Easy peasy. I have 10 minutes left. I'm gonna try to make this interesting enough. So code, I will maybe brush over a bit. You can probably either get it generated or you can find it in the documentation, but workflow you can define like this. Yeah, you add nodes, you have a function to add nodes, you have functions to set an entry point, you kind of have functions to make things conditional. So for the human in the loop, that's where you add the conditional edge, basically. Node definitions is kind of think it as a lambda function or like a little unit of work that you want to do. Just a function with some annotations and yeah, in my case, mostly a prompt template, then an LLM that I feed the data and then parsing some output. I think I visualized the refined captions here, which yeah, comes up with proposals and then feeds them back to the human. Another thing that LangGraph gives you is state and memory saver. The purpose of state and memory saver is kind of facilitate thread level persistence by storing and retrieving state of conversations across multiple interactions. So let's say I would expose this as a service to you guys and you generate a caption, you come back 1 month later and you pick it up from there, the system will still know what you were talking about back then. So that's what state kind of gives you. Yeah, and under the hood it's an in-memory key value store. And yeah, you can maintain context within a single conversation thread. So not like starting a new chat within ChatGPT. Definition, boring. Okay, I think 5 minutes about. Okay, 5 minutes, okay, I'll be quick. Still want to show LangSmith as well. So Gemini 1.5 Pro, main brains, biggest model, the summarization, multimodality, can see stuff, can see video, can summarize video. Has a massive 2 million context window, which I think is still the industry leading one. And for me, what was making it very easy, I work on Google quite a bit, so it's integrated with Vertex AI, so happy days. Gemma 2 is kind of, I call it the cool little brother of Gemini 1.5. It's the second generation in the Gemma family. There's a third generation announced this week. I didn't integrate it into this demo, but you can go and check it out. There is a nice technical write-up that you can Google. And it comes in 3 varieties. So I use the middle one, but there's a 2 billion one for smaller and quicker stuff, and a larger one for more complex stuff, 27 billion. Yeah, play around, go check it out. LangChain, mostly used in my case for abstraction and using different LLMs for different use cases, so the Gemma and the Gemini. And I use it mostly for constructing the pipelines. So you can see a chain here. We have the prompt. So I take a prompt template, give it some inputs, generate a full prompt. Then I give it to Gemma, say, do your magic. And then I parse it. I think the parsing is one I want to talk about a little bit, because not all LLM output gets consumed by humans, but some of it we might want to have consumed by machines as well, and that's where usually JSONs or XML or YAML is a bit more useful for the computer than for a human, and that's where parsing comes in play. Some LLMs do it internally, like the bigger ones, they have it as a feature. Some you have to kind of help it after the fact, and that's what I did with LangChain for Gemma. Yeah, not that interesting. LangSmith, because I have a video on LangSmith as well. Once you are done and happy with your demo, you want to probably put it in production if you're in a commercial setting, so that's where LangSmith comes in, into play. It gives you kind of debugging and observability. I was just in Richie's talk, and it's kind of made me think of this. If you want to observe how your system is behaving from outside, LangSmith is your library you want to use. Let's quickly watch the demo. I think that will be the only thing I have time for, and then we can maybe do some questions or something. And I'll have to talk again through it. So LangSmith, this is the interface. Yeah, so basically it's all the calls that happen in the background of my demo. And you can see some metrics like the tokens. Yeah, the different steps are kind of visualized instances of the steps rather than just a graph. So yeah, that's the whole flow. The whole flow of the breakdown of the whole chain. Okay, I'm gonna call it quits right here. Yeah, I had some wrap-up slides, but yeah, Gemma, Gemini, LangChain, LangGraph, LangSmith. We covered it all actually, so awesome.
We've still got a few minutes, so
yeah. Anybody has anything they really want to know? Then I'll just handle it that way.
Anyone has thousands of photos that they wish to caption that they've not been getting around to because it's too much work?
I got some swag for people with questions as well, so you're lucky.
Yeah, do you think if you would do this project now again, you would still build agents, or with the more modern models, you could just like skip and just like talk to the models without building like coding such a workflow? Like I'm asking because like models improved and like some people argue for like things that you used like these agents in the past might not be necessary anymore.
I don't think it was necessary in the first place. That's my honest answer. So it was partly for me to learn what was going on. So the means to the end was also learning what is out there. I think it was a good learning exercise. I think I could achieve part of it without all the, but I'm kind of interested in the tooling. It's
Makes
part
sense.
Of it. I don't think, though, the problem is a function of model complexity at this point. So I don't think it would go better or worse than 6 months ago. But yeah, it's still kind of fun. You kind of talk to something rather than, you have some control over it. I like the LangGraph. The control that LangGraph gives you, basically, a lot.
Yeah. No, I agree. It's still a very cool project. I appreciate it.
Yeah, okay, we've got one here.
So what kind of agent did you use for your blog?
The LLM or the framework around it?
The framework parameters.
So the framework was just a LangChain. So LangChain was, I used to wrap the LLMs, kind of to control the flow of what the agent can do. I use LangGraph. So how I compare LangChain and LangGraph, because there's some overlap in functionality, I would say, right? LangGraph has LangChain has tool use, which kind of gives the power to the LLM, and that's what I didn't want. Yeah? Okay, perfect. That's what I didn't want. I wanted to have control over, okay, we definitely need to describe the image, we definitely need to summarize the blog post, we need to put the two together, and then I want some freedom for the LLM to generate maybe captions, because that's where the creativity comes in. That I don't think you can do with LangChain at the moment. And that's where LangGraph or I think Crew AI, other options are out there, but I decided LangGraph I think is a bit more low level, has some more control even compared to the other ones. I did an experiment with those though.
Okay. Thank you.
Still got time or? One more.
Yeah, we can still fit in one more, although I'll invite the panelists to take the stage.
Swag, by the way.
I've lost my panelists.